All right, we've discussed three different ways to represent the Pythagorean theorem. So why is the Pythagorean theorem useful? Well, the Pythagorean theorem is an easy way to determine length or distance. Any job where precise lines need to be drawn or measured, use the principles of the Pythagorean theorem. Some examples are farmers, construction managers, and map makers. Can you think of other jobs that might use the principles of the Pythagorean theorem? Let's try a real-world application, painting a wall. A painter wants to know what length ladder is needed so that he or she can reach to paint all of the wall. What length ladder does the painter need? Express your answer in simplified radical form. Oh, vocabulary alert! What is simplified radical form? Well, that just means that there are no square factors under the radical. If you do have a square factor, you need to take it out. An example of a simplified radical is root 6. The factors of 6 are 1 and 6, neither of which is a square, or 2 and 3, again, neither of which is a square. So root 6 is in simplified form. A non-example of simplified radical form would be root 20. Here I know that 5 times 4 equals 20, and I also know that 4 is a square. So if I was to put root 20 in simplified radical form, it would be 2 root 5. All right, let's get back to the problem. So the first thing you want to do when you're thinking about a math problem, especially a word problem, a real life situation, is can I draw a picture of the problem? And when you're working with the Pythagorean theorem, the answer is almost always yes. So here is my picture of the problem. I've drawn the wall, the ladder, and the floor. The second thing you need to ask yourself is, do I have enough information to solve the problem? And oftentimes in real life, the answer is no, and you have to go out and get more information. Well, in this case, the answer is also no. So I want you to think about what additional information do you need? Well, in this case, you need to know at least 2 of the side lengths. So here I am giving them to you. The wall is about 3 meters high. The painter has to put the base of the ladder 2 meters away from the wall to ensure it won't tip. The other thing you need to know is which side of this triangle is the hypotenuse. Well, I see that my right angle is where the wall meets the floor, and so the side opposite that, the longest side of the right triangle, is represented here with the ladder. The ladder is the hypotenuse. So now we have enough information to solve the problem. So go ahead and give it a try. Here's the solution. State the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I know that my a is 3 meters and my b is 2 meters, so I plug them into the formula. I calculate my squares, and I get 13 equals c squared. So what I really want to know is the length of the ladder, which is represented by the variable c. So I want to isolate c, and I do that by using my knowledge of algebra. So I need to take the inverse operation here. I know that the inverse operation of a square is a square root. So I take the square root of both sides. And I also know that the square root of c squared is just plain c. And I know that root 13 is already in simplified radical form because 13 is a prime number. Now I always like to state my solutions to word problems in a full sentence. The ladder is root 13 meters long. The other thing that I want you to know, the problem asks us to express our answer in simplified radical form. However, that doesn't really have that much meaning to me. What is root 13 meters? So I went ahead on the sly and plugged that into my calculator, and I found out that it's about 3.6 meters long. Although I'd say root 13 is the more accurate mathematical way to express that length. All right, I'm going to leave you with one more real-life problem. Often when you're building something like a doorway, or in this case a shower stall, you want it to be square, which means you have a right or 90-degree angle. If you have a right angle, the water in the shower stall will drain properly, which is pretty important. You don't want that water on your ankles. Yuck. Also, if you choose to tile the shower walls, the tile will line up nice and straight. So we've been using the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side length of a right triangle. But I want you to think about how can you use the Pythagorean theorem to determine if you have a right angle. Please put your ideas in the open response and come to class tomorrow prepared to discuss this further. Have a good evening.